Welcome to With the First Pick, where we're going team by team to build a perfect 7-round mock draft. Who's on the clock today? We're breaking down the New Orleans Saints' biggest needs, best fits, and sleeper picks that could make their draft. And by the time we're done, you'll have a complete blueprint for how they can dominate draft weekend. That's Josh Elbert. I'm Ryan Wilson. It's time to get on the clock. Let's build the perfect draft. 8 picks for the Saints. First up, pick number 9. They restructured Derek Carr. Is there a quarterback still sitting there, Josh?
Doesn't look like one is immediately available.
Let's make sure the quarterbacks are. Oh,
Oh,
there's
he is
Shedeur
there.
Sanders at 9. All right. Kellen Moore is the new head coach. The offensive line is, they have to figure out Trevor Penning. They do have some pieces in place there. They moved on from Teron Armstead a while ago. So do we want to put Shedeur Sanders in a situation that he was in for the last few years? And can he win in that situation? Or do you want to be respectful to my guy, Spencer Rattler, and keep him around along with Derek Carr? What are you thinking?
I did notice that Tet McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona, was there. This comes after Cam Jordan went on social media and said that it would be pretty appealing to have Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and McMillan in the same wide receiver room. So that would be a consideration as well.
Here, 1 second, Striker. I want to ask Josh this. Go to the offensive tackles because Tully Fuaga had a really good rookie campaign, moved from right tackle to left tackle from college to the NFL. So, any thought about maybe, and this requires some moving chairs. I do like the idea of Ted McMillan, but bolstering the offensive line and moving on for Trevor Penning, whether that's Kelvin Banks or Josh Simmons. Now, or do you want to wait because it feels sort of rich for Simmons, who's coming off the knee injury? Kelvin Banks feels about the range for me. I know I like him a little bit more than some other people. Or do you just feel better about Ted McMillan and figuring out the offensive line in a minute?
I think it would be a consideration if all else was equal. I think the players, specifically Tet McMillan, would be ranked higher for me personally.
All right.
So I would go in that direction if we were not going quarterback.
All right, let's do it. Ted McMillan, come on down. Don't overthink it. All right, next up, pick 40. Thinking offensive line here, Josh. You want to take a look?
Offensive line, they need help at cornerback as well. Having lost Paulson Adebo, traded Marshawn Lattimore at the trade deadline a year ago, that could be a possible path for us as well.
All right, so let's see here. So both Josh Connerly Jr. and Josh Simmons and Kelvin Banks, all 3 of those guys are gone. Arante Ursary is there. I do like him, but to your point at 40, I love Donovan Jackson, but he's interior offensive line, even though he played left tackle for much of last season. Cameron Williams, he's a little raw for me here. I'll be honest with you before we look at cornerback. Jonas Avenaya at right tackle. I don't hate this at 40. I think he comes in right away. I think he can handle right tackle. Maybe his future is at guard, but I think he would be an upgrade over Trevor Penning. But let's put a pin in that. And Striker, let's look at cornerback real quick, and see what we're working with here. Well, Trey Amos is a home run. Suvon Rebel's a home run. Darren Porter's a home run. Benjamin Morris, if healthy, is a home run. So here's the math. I don't know if you like all 4 of those guys. Will Sue Morrison's going to be healthy out of Notre Dame, the cornerback there. And you want to gamble on one of those offensive linemen being available, or would you rather go offensive line now and circle back to this deep cornerback class as we sit here?
I would feel, 71 is the next pick. I would feel more comfortable probably going the cornerback route.
Yeah, I love Darren Porter. I think he needs to be a little bit better tackler. He's a former wide receiver. Suvon Rebel's coming off the ACL. I think he'll be fine. Trey Amos is a dog, and I think that once you go from Trey Amos down, you're losing a little bit, whether it's injury related, whether it's experience. And I think I'm leaning Trey Amos here. Is that where you're going?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let's make that pick, Striker, and we'll see if at 71, my guy Jonas Avenaya or someone else there is there along the offensive line to help out Derek Carr and the rest of that crew. All right, Jonas Avenaya is still there. Wyatt Millam's still there. I think Wyatt Millam's going to kick inside. My guy Charles Grant, who's a developmental project, but he checks every box. I think he has 35-inch arms. Weighed at about 310 at the combine, played actually around 300, a little less. He's not going to be a day one guy. What are you thinking?
I like a couple of those offensive tackle options. Cameron Williams from Texas, I like. Ozzie Trapillo, I like a lot from Boston College as well. I think a lot of people think that Savanea is going to move inside at the next level. I think he could possibly stick at right tackle.
I do
Um,
too.
so it would be between one of those three players for me. I like Savanea the most as an offensive lineman, but if I were strictly projecting a right tackle, probably Trapillo would be my preference there. But I'll let you make the final decision.
Let me double check my final grades on these guys because I think with 7I, the floor is higher than with Cam Williams. Cam Williams is a better athlete, but I'm
Yeah.
concerned about the immediate availability in terms of helping that unit. So let's see what the old draft rankings had. So 7I, I had as mid first. Cam I had a little bit lower than that. Then Ozzy had a little bit lower than that. All guy mid second, excuse me, midday two for Jonah, and I had Cam and Ozzy as a mid to late day second. All right, so we're on the
Okay.
same page with
I'll
these
take
guys.
John.
I'm going to say Jonah just because I think he's more day one ready. He may end up being the best player of this crew. Ozzy's a solid player as well. Trapillo, his dad played in the league. Let's go Jonah Savanaya, striker. So we're just checking off boxes here. And look, we can if you don't think Spencer Rattler's the guy long term, and again, disrespectful to say out loud, but we can look for a quarterback here and see who's available. If there's any bargains. And then, man, if Tate Roush is still here, I would just take him solely on his being awesome. Let's look at the quarterbacks real quick, striker, and see where we're at in that conversation. Will Howard, Riley Leonard, Dylan Gabriel, Quinn Ewers, Kyle McCord, Tyler Shuck. Do we want to do the Tyler Shuck thing since everyone's riding the Tyler Shuck bandwagon and pick 93?
You could. Honestly, I'm more inclined to just stick it out with Spencer Rattler, give him another year as opposed to bringing in another day two guy to be in that conversation.
Sold. All right. What
Um,
else do we need to address? Let's get back to reality here.
I mean, you mentioned Tate Ratledge. I think interior offensive line building out depth there is fine. You could look at linebacker, safety. Those would be the other two directions that I would possibly go.
All right, let's look at safety real quick. They did sign Justin Reed. He's going to get to play with Honey Badger. He was excited about that. They have Jordan Howden, who they drafted out of Minnesota a few years ago. I love Andrew McCuba. I've talked about him today to death. We've talked about Jonas Sanker in previous perfect mock drafts. Billy Bowman Jr. ran a sub 4.5, which surprised me a little bit. Any of these guys get you going here, Josh?
Um, no, I mean to varying degrees. Who's available among the linebackers, striker?
Barrett Carter, Kobe King, Cody Simon, Lindenberg, Danny Stutzman. I like Danny Stutzman a lot, and we're pick 93. I think he'd be around in another round or two. I love Barrett Carter's athleticism. They have Pete Werner at Ohio State. They have Demario Davis, who's been around the block, still playing pretty well there. And then behind them, Nefi Sewell, which I think is Panay's cousin,
Yeah.
and then DeMarco Jackson.
Defensive line again, real quick, and that's the last one, I promise.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
All
Deion
right,
Walker.
let's take Deion Walker.
Deion
If,
Walker. Let's.
if he's here, that's a crime. And I love the idea of him working with Cam Jordan for at least a year. And Brian Brzee was a fun story once he got healthy, and he had a really good, impactful rookie season. All right, hit the button
And
on
even
Deion
if
Walker.
even if Walker wasn't there, Aeneas Peebles from Virginia Tech, C.J. West from Indiana, I think are two players worthy of that range as well.
All right, we've talked about Isaiah Bond with the first big wide receiver rankings. He came in as the number 10 guy. He would have been higher, but I think there are going to be some off-field concerns. But if they want to double up on wide receivers, I mean, they have Chris
Yeah.
Olave, of course. We got Ted McMillan in this draft class. And after that, they have Kevin Austin Jr., Rashid Shaheed at the top of the depth chart as we sit here. Bub Means, my guy, at Pitt last year. And then, of course, Foster Moreau and Juwan Johnson at tight end. We
Yeah,
can even
there's
look.
no guarantee that Shaheed would bounce back from his injury immediately. So yeah, I'm good with Isaiah Bond.
So let me ask you: you want Isaiah Bond, or you want to do a tight end like Gunnar Helm? Which gives you more, or whatever the other tight end class is? Which gives you more bang for the buck?
Yeah, they gave a lot of money to Juwan Johnson recently, so I mean, you could take depth there. I think
Nah, let's go
wide
with that.
receiver may have.
Yeah, I think you're right. Let's go with Isaiah Bond. And hopefully Derek Carr dirt balls don't anger him. That's a joke. That's a joke. All right, we are at pick 131. Will Howard still sitting there, developmental quarterback. Dylan Gabriel still sitting there. Let's see. They have Alvin Kamara, but beyond that, Kendra Miller, what's his future going to be? We could look at running back here. Let's see what we got here. We got any guys with some juice. Brashard Smith, I like.
Brashard Smith.
Jarquez Hunter, Trevor Etienne. You want to do Brashard Smith?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Trevor Etienne is a guy that we haven't taken in any of these scenarios as well.
Scroll down a little bit.
Mix.
Striker, let's see who else we got here. Mark Sharon, Bashul Tootin. I wonder why they don't like Tootin. That's so funny. I love Taj Brooks as well.
Yeah, I do too.
Let's do Taj
I think
Brooks.
This is about the range. Yeah, I think this is about the range for him.
Let's get Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech. All these guys, again, it's sort of a crutch on my part, but I think running backs are starting to all turn into Jalen Warren, where they're that sort of size, that sort of running ability with the ability to catch the ball coming to the backfield and have a little juice. All right. Pick 184. 2 picks to go here. Best available. All right. Let's take Tyler Shuck. Let's get a developmental quarterback on the roster.
All right.
To battle my guy Spencer Rattler and Jake Hainer. How many mids can we get on one roster? And that's not Spencer Rattler. All right. We'll see. Man, I hope Tyler Shuck works out. I'm not trying to kill the kid. It's just sometimes the media tells you stories that you feel like you're being gaslit, Josh. That's all I'm saying. All right. Finally. Pick 248. You like Teddy Buchanan. Talked about him in the past. Woody Marks, I liked him, but we just got a running back.
We could go Joshua Gray too.
Josh Gray, Clay Webb. We talked about Clay Webb. Josh Gray is another good, solid interior offensive lineman. You want to go Josh Gray here out of Oregon State?
Yeah, they had a lot of injuries along the interior offensive line last year. Had to rotate some guys in and out, move players around from different positions. So we'll make a depth play here and take Joshua Gray.
Love it. I feel like this is a pretty good draft. Speaking for myself here. All right, let's see what we got here. Tet McMillan at the top. Trey Amos, Jonas Avenaya. That feels like 2.5 to 3 starters. I think you feel good about that. First 3 picks. Deion Walker out of Kentucky, a value pick. With your 4th selection there. 2023 tape was really good. 2024, I think he was banged up, and that affected his ability to be as productive. Isaiah Bond slips a little bit because of the potential off-field stuff, but he's an absolute playmaker. Taj Brooks, some depth at running back. Tyler Shuck, the developmental quarterback, who some teams and media folk like a little better than Josh and I, and that's okay. And then finally, Josh Gray adds some depth along the interior offensive line out of Oregon State. That wraps up Perfect Saints draft class. Make sure to subscribe to NFL and CBS on YouTube and download With the First Pick wherever you get your podcasts. And stay tuned for more perfect mock drafts because we're hitting all 32 teams.